Well, hello, everybody. It's me, Rashi, and we are here for another edition of Parent to Parent. It is October. I'm so excited because here in Houston, Southeast Texas, we have experienced triple-digit temperatures for a very long time. And this week, you're supposed to get a cool front. And to us, cool front is like what, 80s? 70s. So we're really excited here. I hope everyone's getting the fall feels. When it's fall, there's also the higher chance of you getting sick. There's so many people sick for a lot of people have gotten COVID, especially even at the station, which is why we've resumed to not in-person meetings, but Zoom meetings, colds, flu. We've talked about the triple-demic with also RSV. There's so many things happening. And especially me being a parent, as you all know, of a 3 and 6 year old, they're run around so many other kids. And these kids are sneezing and coughing, and you're just kind of like, what's going on? And what's really interesting is I came across someone who is known as the father of functional medicine. And I'm all about functional medicine. Actually, I kind of grew up with it too. My whole family being from India, it was like all about, I don't even know what my grandmother made, or I was just drinking different things and it worked. There were different spices and it worked. It was better than whatever medication was given to me. And homeopathic medication too was something that my family was very keen on. So anyways, you might not know this, and I will have Dr. Jeffrey Bland come on in just a second to explain better. But basically, we have the opportunity to rejuvenate our immune system, not boost our immune system, which is what a lot of people think. So when we think that, we think, okay, I might feel like I have the flu. So let me drink some of this and do this and that and this. And it's kind of like, that's when your immune system is out of whack. So we're trying to boost something that's already out of whack is not going to help the situation. And every 90 days or so, we get new cells and we basically rejuvenate our immune system. So you have choices of either making it stronger or weaker or the same. And how do we make it stronger? So for that, wow, I just turned green now. That was crazy. For that, we have Dr. Jeffrey Bland. Hello, sir.
Rashi, good to see you. Thanks so much for this important discussion. I appreciate it.
Yes, and I am all about functional medicine. So can you please tell me why, first of all, what's the biggest mistake or myth that you think people believe?
I think the biggest myth is that the immune system just sits there waiting in wait for the exposure to a virus or a bacterium, and it only works for us when we're sick. And I think it's very important to recognize that it's one of the two systems in the body that works 24/7, 365, constantly assessing where we are in the outside world and telling our body inside how to respond. The other is the nervous system, which is also doing that. But the immune system can change very rapidly to what is going on outside or inside us. And therefore, it is one of those vigilant systems that we can do something about. In fact, we can train our immune system to be better for us, just as we would train our muscles through exercise or our cardiovascular fitness through an activity program. We can also train our immune system by treating it correctly with the right foods, sleep, stress management, exercise. All those things are sending signals to our immune system to allow it to do its best work for us.
And talk about immunorejuvenation, because boosting is actually a myth you were talking about.
Yes, I think unless you're talking about some of the immunotherapies that are used in medical intervention for the immune system, where you're actually modifying the immune system through specific pharmacological agents to boost it for specific diseases. For the normal person, when they eat a diet that contains nutrients, they're actually not boosting the immune system. What they're doing is they're providing the raw materials necessary for the immune system to do its work. So it's kind of balancing the immune system. There is, however, a very important feature that has been discovered in the last 10 to 15 years about the immune system, and you've already alluded to it, and that's the immune system is constantly replenishing itself. Our immune cells don't live forever. They are made and they have a certain lifetime, like all cells, and then they pass on and they're replaced by new cells. That process of rejuvenating the immune system is a process that is actually now being studied as to how you actually do that. How do you make your immune system younger, more vital, more resilient? You know, and as both a parent of kids and now a grandparent of grandchildren, I recognize the fall season is that time where we come in from the outside. We start to be exposed to all sorts of things. The weather changes, our diet changes, our sleep changes. And those are the times that we really need our immune system to be in a rejuvenated state to give us maximum resilience.
Definitely. And, there's always the, just naturally, as you get older, your immune system gets weaker. So do you have to work extra hard, just kind of like how you have to sort of watch more what you eat and exercise as you get older?
Oh, that's a really good question. Yes, it is true that statistically people's immune system gets weaker as they get older. However, in studying centenarians, healthy people 100 years of age or older, like the Tarahumara Indians or the people in Costa Rica that have been studied, the so-called blue zones, in those areas, those people who are in their hundreds still have very adept immune systems. So it's not necessarily like a fate because you had birthdays. It's actually how you're treating your immune system. And I think that one of the problems that we've encountered in this country and why we had such a problem with SARS-CoV-2 virus was that our immune systems just weren't up to snuff. We were not as healthy as we thought we were in terms of our immune resilience, and we didn't give the immune system everything that it probably needed to do its best work for us. So I think this concept that we can rejuvenate the immune system, we can turn back the age clock of our immune system, is a really important discovery over the last 10 to 15 years in immunology.
And just specifically with like COVID, we hear about it on the news, we report on it, these boosters. So this will boost your immune system. I mean, is it really boosting, or what is it exactly doing?
Yeah, thank you. That's another really good question. Of course, boosting is maybe a term in the eye of the beholder, but boosting as it relates to an immunization really means that you have poised your immune system. You have trained your immune system to be responsive to a specific, in this case, virus. Through the spike proteins in SARS-CoV-2. And so you've trained a certain portion of your immune system to recognize that virus and to respond by producing immune agents, so-called antibodies that go out and glue these viruses together and allow the body to get rid of them. So you're not really boosting as much as you're retraining, repoisoning the immune system. The other thing that we recognize, however, other than giving vaccinations or immune therapies, is that you can get your immune system to kind of rejuvenate itself naturally by eating certain nutrients in your diet and eating them in ways that lead to your immune cells actually feeling friendly and rejuvenating themselves over time. It takes, as I said, maybe 1 to 3 months to have your immune system to come into sync. But for most people, if they have not been doing the right thing, they can make substantial changes in their immune health just by eating, thinking, and acting differently.
And that was going to be my other question. This was a very common one, is how do I get my immunity back on the right track if I've been so sick for a while?
Yeah, so let's start first with diet because, I've learned over my years of living, now 77 years of living, that everybody eats sometime. This is a common shared human experience is eating. Not everybody exercises, not everybody meditates, but everybody eats sometime, something. Now, what do we know about the immune system and eating? We know that the immune system contains these macronutrients, protein, carbohydrate, and fat, contains vitamins and minerals. All of those are important actually for speaking to our immune system in different ways. Some of those things that we eat in a highly processed diet speak to our immune system in disruption. Let's use high sugar diets as an example. The so-called over-processed or ultra-processed foods often send message to our immune system of what I would consider alarm. They put the immune system in a state of saying, I don't really feel like I'm in a friendly environment. When your immune system is not in a friendly environment, what does it do? It gets upset. What does that mean? It's in an inflamed state. Now you get an immune system that's not balanced, it's not resilient, it's in a heightened state of alarm. We don't want to be in alarm all the time. And what that does is it creates then all sorts of downstream problems. It may create sleep disturbances, it may chronic pain, it may cause fatigue, it may cause your immune system just to be less able to defend against viruses and bacterial exposures. So we know that certain dietary principles are not good. Those are the ultra-processed diets, high sugar diets, high saturated fat diets. But on the other side, we know there are certain things in the diet that are extraordinarily good for communicating with your immune system and doing work for you that will make you more resilient. Those include in fact, I often say, eat the rainbow, the foods that have these natural colorants in them. I'm not talking about synthetic colors. I'm talking about fruits and vegetables that contain natural colors: red, blue, yellow, orange, purple. All of these colors come actually from substances within those foods. They're called phytochemicals, plant-derived chemicals, that have been found recently to have very important roles in helping to defend our immune system, to rejuvenate our immune system. And these have names like polyphenols and all that. I won't go into the chemical gobbledygook. Let's just say that there are a whole array of these, that literally thousands of these different plant materials. If you eat a non-processed diet rich in these phytochemicals, they can be immune strengthening. We also know that there's a difference between vitamins and minerals that are rich in the diet versus highly depleted diets. We know that organic foods, for instance, are more likely to contain more of the trace minerals, the zinc, the copper, the chromium, which is also very important for our immune system function. We also know that eating salmon is rich in a friendly form of fat called omega-3 fatty acids, the fatty fish, that actually have a very favorable effect on our immune system. So you'll notice I'm giving kind of a laundry list of things that we can include in the diet that help to rejuvenate our immune system. We've been studying one of those ancient foods, goes back 2,000 years actually, called Himalayan Tartary buckwheat. Tartary because it comes from the Tartan region of China. It's one of the first cultivated foods that's been found historically. It turns out it got lost in America about 200 years ago. We've kind of brought it back. Now we have organic farmers that are starting to grow Himalayan Tartary buckwheat. And the composition of that in terms of its immune activity is unbelievable. It's 50 to 100 times higher in certain immune strengthening nutrients than common buckwheat. So that you can see that there are these, some people call these superfoods. I'm just going to call them great foods that we can include in our diet that really help to support proper immune function. There we go. There's a list. Himalayan Tartary buckwheat, blueberries, broccoli sprouts, salmon, and obviously turmeric from, as you know, the Indian spice family. You've got really great activities in terms of your rejuvenating powers of each of those food families.
Can you hear me?
I can hear
Were
you.
you able to? Okay, yeah. Do you
Yes.
recommend something like that, or is it better in the natural form?
I think it's always better to start with food, but there can be things where you need to have some augmentation because you can't get your foods in the way you want every day. We all have busy lives. We might have our ideal, but then it comes down to can we really do?
Right.
So that's why I generally have some kind of what I call nutrition insurance policy, some of these added nutrients that I can take supplementally that will fill the gap. They're kind of an insurance policy. And so eat right, but then you can use these specific nutrients in augmented forms to give you that booster rocket, that kind of extra margin of value.
And I actually brought this. It's something that I take, and it's gotten very popular with the, let me see. Sorry, I should have had this out beforehand. This is just the brand I use, but it has like caffeine, creatine, Lion's Made, and it's all for mind, fuel, body. People are using more of this versus the energy drinks and all of that. So do you think that actually helps? I mean, I felt a difference by it, but I wanted to get your take on it.
Well, one of the ingredients you just described is very interesting. We haven't talked about it. That's lion's mane. Lion's mane, as you know, is one of the members of the edible mushroom family. And what we find is that these mushrooms have unique phytochemicals in them that you don't find in other plant or animal foods. And so there's been a rich history of looking at the pharmacology of what's called mycology of these fungal-derived materials from edible mushrooms. Lion's mane has a specific immune potentiating activity. It contains things like beta-glucan and other interesting compounds that help the immune system for rejuvenation. So this is all part of a portfolio of a different kind of approach towards your immune health. Not just I'm going to take vitamin D and vitamin C and hope for the best. You're looking at the whole array of these portfolio of nutrients that have been found to be very useful in supporting immunorejuvenation.
All right. And so do you recommend that people do take something like this or look into something like this? Because, I mean, you can't really naturally get it.
Well, I would say that, first of all, it's interesting to note naturally. I actually am with a group of people that are so committed to this, they're doing their own growing of mushrooms. So they're out mushroom foraging. This is a whole big thing for them.
Oh,
so
wow.
There are people that are that committed. In general, you're right. It's easier to have someone else do it for you and have it properly certified. Before I would say what specific things people need to take, I would first say do a little bit of homework. Do some reading. We have, I think, a really good source of information on Big Bold Health, which is our website. So it's bigboldhealth.com, bigboldhealth.com. You can find all sorts of information there about various nutrients and the history. If you're a science geek, you can dig deep into the science literature, or if you just want to know what to do, it's a good place to start. So I think that there are some ways one can start educating themselves, because we know that life is very personal. What for one is perfect for another may not be. They say food of one is poison of another. I think that might be slightly an exaggeration, but we know that we are very uniquely different. And so you want to structure your approach to your specific needs. Some people have allergies. Some people can't eat peanuts. Other people can't eat gluten and flour. It depends upon your unique native genetics and your basic constitution.
And sleep and the immune system. How important is sleep? Of course, we know we need to get sleep. Yes. But I mean, it plays a huge part in how you feel and how you basically combat any virus.
Yeah, let's talk about sleep for a second. So there's really two factors that have been studied by sleep scientists. There's sleep duration, and then there's sleep quality. And you can have quite a long time that you're asleep, but the quality could be very poor. Or you could have really high quality but not sleep very long. The construct is to build a sleep hygiene program. Just as you would have a hygiene for bacteria and viruses, you want a clean surface. You want your sleep to have a hygiene program to give you the proper duration, length of sleep, and the proper quality of sleep. Now, how do you know whether those things are happening? This is where I think we're in an interesting phase in our development and understanding of our bodies. For the first time in human history, as you know, we have these wearable devices that can give us 24/7 information about how our body is working. I have a couple of them on my body that are measuring certain things, including my sleep, both quality and duration. And I can see from day to day how my sleep cycling is doing. I can practice being better at sleep as it relates to whether I'm meeting these goals. Somewhere between 6 and 8 hours of sleep, of which you spent something like an hour or two in a deep sleep form during your sleep duration. So I think these are ways that we can train ourselves. I think this concept that we can be in training for our health, we can enhance our immune function by training it, is a really optimistic, forward-thinking kind of principle that we used to just think as woe is us. If we got the bad luck of the draw, there's nothing we can do about it, and shame on us for not getting the right genes. Now we're saying, no. There are many things we can do to tune up our resilience, things that don't take us into the edge of extremes that we can do in a daily living. Even busy moms can find ways of incorporating these things in their daily program. Quiet, rest, relaxation, music, reading, thinking of things that really you enjoy doing. So you're having good thoughts, having bliss, having joy. Those are sending messages to your immune system to have a joyful day. So all these things are coming together as it relates to tools that we can do that are not expensive, don't require a lot of scientific sophistication, but are things that we can implement every day to make our health better.
Well, thank you so much for saying all that. I do hope that the culture kind of changes. I feel like it's a lot of, especially with all the work and kids and all this, it's like sleep is kind of always on the back burner versus my co-anchor actually just came back from Italy and she was saying, yeah, the restaurants close at a certain time because they have to take their naps. And exactly. And here it's kind of looked at as, oh, wow, you're working, 80 hours. Wow, that's a lot, So I do hope that people do take away from this, that they can change their own health by eating right and sleeping the quality and good amount there. Is there anything else you'd like to say before we leave?
Well, I think the really important thing, again, is to question the one thing that we never get back, which is time. Time is like the grains going through an hourglass. It's something that's a one-way street. And so how do we use our time? And, I asked a question many, many years ago. This would probably be like 40 years ago now, when I was doing a doctor's seminar. And I asked the doctors in that seminar, I said, how many of you take 1 hour a day for your own health improvement, practicing good health? And, I looked around and there were all these quizzical expressions on their faces. And they said, well, we're way too busy to take an hour a day. We're confronted with all sorts of things. We don't have an hour a day. And then I say, so do you invest in life insurance? And then most of them say, yes, we invest in life insurance. We spend a lot of money on life insurance in case something happens. And I said, so what is life insurance? It's really death insurance. It's paying your beneficiaries for your demise. It's not life insurance. Life insurance is when you're doing something for yourself. If you don't have an hour a day, that's about what is it? 1 hour out of 24, that's like 4% of your day.
Yeah.
And if you don't have 4% for yourself, what's your priority? Mm-hmm. Because in the end, that pays dividends. You don't stay working when you're 77 if you burn the candle at both ends when you're 35. You've got to start investing in how you want this outcome to look when you get down the road of life. So this concept that you want a life insurance program, life insurance is taking charge and doing something every day for yourself.
Well, that is so great. And I'm so glad you said that. Very empowering and a lot of wisdom today in this conversation. Thank you so much, Dr. Jeffrey Bland, for being with us today.
Thank you. My great pleasure.
And I appreciate all of you for joining us for this edition of Parent to Parent. I do encourage you to go to their website, bigboldhealth.com, to find out more information. Also going to our website, fox26houston.com, where you can find this story and also find more information on the foods you should eat and all the things that we talked about today. So until next time, we'll see you then.